Thank you, Sarah. And there's Ken.
This is my brother Kenny.
Mm-hmm. And this is our beautiful front yard.
This is our front yard that has lots of roses, singing in the rain rose, and it has many other kinds of roses.
Just thought I'd show you guys our front yard before you see the bad shop.
Hello. Hi. This is a Swumbo, and I'm filming my beloved woodworker. Take it away, Lovey.
Thank you. Well, of all the shop tours you've seen, this is the last one. So, congratulations, you made it. This is the bad shop. We are looking at the northeast corner of my garage. As you can see, these shelves are original shelves that the owner put in. I've never gotten around to replacing them. They're quite rickety, but they're holding all that iron if they're okay. What I'd like to do is kind of just show you around briefly, and then we'll have a look at in detail at some of the tools, the more interesting ones. I'm not going to show you every single jack plane I have. There's too many.
But it's not a collection.
That's right. This isn't a collection. This is an assortment. Well, first off, let me show you. Let me gloat a little bit. This is the one project I've actually finished that resembles woodworking. This is a oak and curly maple table I made for my son with Cocobolo draw-pegged mortise and tenon joinery. The only power tool used was just to the right of there. If we can pan over and look at the bandsaw, otherwise known as the Neander Buddy. As you can see, the rest of my garage is quite full of all kinds of home improvement things, and even lumber and things of that nature. There's our treadle saw. We actually got it from Patrick. It's a combination treadle saw and scroll saw. Excuse me, treadle lathe and scroll saw. And it's made by Miller's Falls. Very nice one. We can pan down here, honey, and take a look at the converted workmate.
Oh.
This is the infamous workmate, which I cut the jaws off about 3 years ago by accident with a skill saw. I threw the top away eventually, put a bunch of pieces of plywood on top of it and glued them together, and I have a Jorgensen vise hooked up to it. Also have 106 pounds of sands hitting here for stability. And as you can see, this is my approved West Coast footwear. We don't wear shoes out here. Okay, let's take a look at a close look at some of the things we have over here. Well, let's come around this side. We can see that's the Pukey Duck saw. Don't get too close a shot of that, it's all rusty. There's all kinds of nasty things on it. Look over here to the left. See my array of clamps. If you go up real high, you can see the elaborate network of braces up there. Not a collector though, I use every one of those in different situations. This is my post drill, which I'm especially proud of, especially since I got it back in my luggage from the Priney with a big assist from Tom Bruce, and Tom Holloway gave a lot of good directions as he showed us how to put things in boxes, and I was real glad to get that thing home. If we can peek around this side, peek back in there, that's a dark room that the original owners built. That's where we keep all the lumber. I have a big bunch of redwood there.
Looks like we bathe our children there. What's that?
That's actually my electrolysis bath. Okay, well let's cut for a second and we'll look at something on the bench.
Go.
Okay, looks like we're rolling. Okay, well these are the block planes. Notice I don't say these are my block planes because not all of them are mine. Some are bound to be Christmas presents and others belong to Swumbo here and the little Swimbos in training and Galoots in training. Over here are two of the infamous number 18s that I had the caps re-nickeled. And then back here, these belong to the kids. These are number 19 block planes with a beautiful knuckle joint lever cap. And these also were re-nickeled. This here's number 65 that my daughter found for me in Temecula. It has the nickel plating was completely gone on that one, so we went ahead and did that one. This is the Lee Nielsen number 140, and then over here is a number 65 also that we just found that doesn't have it re-nickeled. And these other ones are these number 9.5, number 6.5, and a number 15. So those are the block planes. Okay, as promised, here are the jack planes. Over here, this is number 605.5C. You can see it has a corrugated bottom. This is the extra yuppie bastard appeal. And Without a doubt, this is the best jack plane in the world. There isn't anything better. I use this one almost all the time. I just picked this one up here. This is a keen cutter. I just got it just because it's different. It's basically a Stanley plane. It has it's probably around a Type 11. The next best jack plane I have, and this is a unique one. This is a Seagley. It also has a corrugated bottom. I got this one from Tom and the Priney. I got the Bedrock from Patrick, naturally. The unique thing about this plane is it has a different style kind of lever cap. It's almost like an infill style lever cap. The chip breaker and the lever cap are one thing. And it has a fixed frog, and I use this plane actually for for shooting long ends. It does a really great job on end grain. You can see the blades getting a little bit short, so I'm maybe talking to Ron Hawk and have him make me one. Come back over here. This was my first jack plane, so it has a special place in my heart. I got this one from Patrick. This is a Type 19. As you can see, it's spotless. This is also a 5C, and I don't know where he finds these tools. They're beautiful. Right next to it is a Miller's Falls jack plane. I know you guys think you just find these at the side of the road, but I don't know. I like them. They're all usable here. The one right next to it here, this is a Sergeant that I found at the yard sale from Heaven up in Sonora, California. And this is a very nice plane also. It has a thicker iron than the Stanley. It's a great user. Right next to it here is a number 10. This is a Jack Rabbit. You can see it has the rabbiting blade in there. And right next to it is a 5 1/4. I also got this one from Patrick. It's in really nice shape. And here's a no-name 5 1/2 that we found up in Redding, California. I can't read the label here. I think it says Arrow. I'm not sure. I haven't cleaned this one up yet. But you all know that I've never made a jack plane I didn't like, and it was so cheap I just couldn't leave it sitting there. And then sitting way back in the back here, this is a future Christmas present, I'm sure. This is just your standard Stanley Sweetheart jack plane that I picked up for almost nothing. So there they are. I'm sure you're all happy now that you've seen Patty Jack's jack plane collection. Okay, let's have a look at a few others here. Over here is number 12 1/2. This is a beauty. I had to buy the sole from Andy's Old Tools. The one I bought was shot, and I believe this is also an IT scraper, which works great. Right in front here, this is a nice little scrub plane that we found in Temecula, and you can see it still has part of the decal on it. And these are really fun to play with. I love playing with this one. Get it out.
Where'd it go?
It's gone. Just keep the camera right here, honey. Okay, right in front here.
I was trying to get the decal.
This little plane here is a number 2, and I got this one actually from Patrick, and it's a nice example. Right next to it here is a number 112. As you guys all know, these are very scarce, and I have an IT scraper in here too. And this thing is a great thing once you figure out how to use it. And we'll get these out of the way. And right behind them are all the smooth planes. Now, you only see me make one table. It takes all these planes to make a table. Look way over here. This is a nice Miller's Falls. I'm going to turn it sideways so you can get a look at the handle. I know Tom Price loves these things. All I did was just wipe the dust off this from the antique store I got it from. I love this thing. It's a beauty. Right next to it is a gem that good old Val found. Val, my college pal, she found this up in, of all places, Point Reyes, California. This is a nice example of a Type 9 number 4C. Is a corrugation. Didn't have a 4C until we found this one, and it cleaned up pretty nice. It's a nice little plane. Right here, there's another number 4, and here's a 4 1/2. It's a little bit wider. And over here is the set of number 3s. Way over here on the right is the Union number 3. It's a nice looking plane, but it really isn't that good of a user. If you try to scoop the frog up too much, it chatters a lot. I haven't been able to get this one to work too well. This right here, I'm moving in front. This is my favorite plane. This is when I fell in love with low knob planes. This is a number 3C. It's a Type 11, 3 patent date. I just love the feel of this tote, and I replaced the iron with a Ron Hawk iron, and this is by far the best smooth plane I have. And all the other ones, they get used just so they don't feel lonely. But that's the best plane in my shop. If we move to the back here, these we call the planes of Beelzebub. This is a Type 7, number 6, and I want to turn this one sideways and show you the beautiful tote made by Chuck Myers from Chuck Myers' House of Totes and Useful Doodads. This is just a joy to use. As much as I make fun of number 6s, this is a great plane again. If one of my jack planes or something like that goes dull, I pull this one out and use it. It's a really nice user. And then this one we just found on our latest search and destroy mission through Northern California. This is a Type 1 bedrock. You can see it has the different lever cap. It says Stanley Rule and Lever Company bedrock. And it's still kind of rusty, but I sharpened up the iron. And it's also a great plane. So I really don't have any complaints against number 6s, except for maybe I don't have enough of them. Okay, Val insisted on getting a shot of the decal on this number 40. You can see this one's in pretty good shape. These planes were used pretty hard. This one has a sweetheart iron on it. Over here on the right are some moving Philister planes. This is an older one here. It has the floral casting. That's real pretty. It works great too. These are two that we lucked out and picked up in the same town. I had never seen a complete number 78 ever while out hunting for tools, and we found two in one little town of Wairika, California. So go figure. Back behind them is a number 20. Everybody needs a number 20 if they want to play plain wagon wheels and round tabletops, things like that. I haven't had a chance to use this one, but it's in really nice shape and it looks like a great plane. And I never met a plane I didn't like anyway. Come across over here, this is a World War II vintage router plane. I haven't even brushed the dust off of this one. This one was in such nice shape, we couldn't pass it up. And these are a lot of fun to play with. Right in front here, I just thought I'd bring out a couple of these doodads. These are the Miller's Ball cigar shaves. Now these both appear to be about the same age. We've heard on the list that this bead may mean something that it's an older shave, but as you can see, this one here has an extra set of holes tapped in it, and we still haven't figured out what those are for. I've tried reversing the blade, and that really doesn't seem to work. So it's kind of a curiosity. And then right in front is just your standard little rabbit plane, or side rabbit, number 79. And then back here, this is one you probably don't see every day. This is a Type 1 number 10 and a half. The thing that makes this plane so neat is it has an adjustable mouth. And Patrick got me this one, and it's a beauty. And it's a great user too. I already sharpened up and played with it. Back behind here, I just want to show off the Russell Jennings auger bits. If you don't use a brace and bit, yeah, you're missing a lot of fun. They really work. And I love these two boxes here because they're both have a little bit of chestnut in them and they smell great. This is an early number 45. You can see it has the floral casting. It's pretty clean. I got this one from Who Else. And these are also a lot of fun to use, especially for plowing grooves. It works real good. As you noticed on Mike Davies' tape, he also showed using a number 45. Okay. Okay, these are the marking gauges and other fun layout tools from marking gauge heaven. Down the right-hand corner, that's a number 66 3/4, which is a really nice little rule. You can just sort of scan around the box and see the Stanley mortise gauge and the marking gauge. It's a really nice panel gauge up there on top. There's a brass and ebony square from St. James Bay. It's a nice little square. And your standard stuff, little thing from Bridge Cedar Tool Works. And sort of little folding rolls that belong to the kids and so on. Over here, this has to be about the best user tool that's not a plane in my shop, this miter box. I would be dead without this miter box. It cuts things dead square. If you don't have a miter box, you're working too hard, in my opinion, unless you're cheating and using one of the Norm tools, which is certainly okay, but this thing is great. It's the Miller's Falls. I got this from Thomas of Priney, and it's a really nice miter box. Okay, as promised, I'm going to demonstrate my version of Scary Sharp. I have here World War II number 7. You can see it still has the cosmoline stains on it. This plane has never been used. So, we'll pop off the rubber cap. at the iron. Standard World War II iron. Pay no attention to this thing back here. And since this iron's in pretty good shape, it's not pitted or rusted or anything, I'm just going to start off with 320 grit. I don't use any adhesive or water or anything. I just kind of lay it here at the edge of my workbench, and then I start working on the back first. I give myself about 2 inches or so of blade leaning on the silicon carbide paper. That way I make sure I keep it good and flat. But what I do is I put a lot of finger pressure right near the bevel there. As you can see, I'm getting a lot of metal off. I'm just going to rotate this thing. It's got almost all the scratches I want out of it. I got a few more right at the tip. And I'll just work on those for a couple more seconds here. Just using the rest of the blade as a reference and pushing really hard at my fingertips, and the blade's actually getting hot. Okay, I think that's enough for 320 grit. Okay, turn it up. Okay, through the miracle of time-lapse photography, I'm now at 600 grit. And I'm working the bevel here. Notice I don't have one of those grinding jigs. I just kind of go at it. I try not to roll the edge. It doesn't take that much practice. You have a lot of stability when you're moving side to side here. These pieces of sandpaper, I vacuum them off in between sharpening sessions usually, and they're probably about 2 years old. These pieces of paper have been used to sharpen just about every bench plane I have. There's only a couple of them, like this one, I haven't done. I'm going to go to 1000 grit here. And I don't have any 2000 grit paper. I've been giving it away to my buddies who I find tools for once in a while. So what we're going to do is we'll go right from 1500 grit to the strop. Okay, you can cut it there. Okay, well here's the back. You can see there's still some mill marks, but right near the tip, this blade's clean, and that's all that counts. So I don't polish the whole back of the blade. That'll kill you. Notice on the bevel here, I only honed right near the tip. That also saves yourself a wear and tear. Even though we did time-lapse photography, this whole thing took, I don't know, about 5 minutes or so to do. So take a break here, I'm going to strop it, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, this is my little softwood strop. I'm using this because the grinder's put away right now, and I don't want to bother with it. Oh, by the way, the silicon carbide paper I just get at automotive finishing supply stores, so you know, people who are supplying to the auto body industry. So anyway, for the softwood strop, I just pull it back a few strokes. I've colored this with what I call the big green crayon, which is just a big wax crayon impregnated with chromium oxide. So I give it a few strokes here to polish the edge. I'll also give it a sideways shot. Get the back. And that's it for that. Okay, let's turn it off there.
Da, 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 da.
Here it is. The Punky number 7. Trying this out on a piece of mahogany. As you can see, and hear, it's a multiple hang time. We just dropped one of these little things. Pretty good hang time. So there you have it. One more shot and we're done. Planer. Well, Galoots, that's the end of my tour. We've had a great time making this thing, and had even a better time watching all of your Galoot-a-visions. I've had a great time being on the list, and it's a great thing to be a Galoot. Goodbye.
And now we get the whole guy.
Hope your TV rotates 90 degrees.
Hi, I'm Ernie Fish. I'm going to take you for a tour of what is euphemistically termed the shop, or Swinbo's nightmares, whichever way you please. Well, here we are. Welcome to my shop. Up here is my dust remover. That thing actually works very nicely. Over here, you can see my collection of, my assortment of crosscut saws, some parallels, over there bar clamps, the occasional power cord hanging around. There's some lumber for future work. Over here we see the famous IT number 22, along with another few little hand tools. And here we have the workbench. It may not be much, but after all, it is all mine. It's a cheap Asian import from home base, surprisingly sturdy, and it's quite serviceable. I even have enough room to work on one end of it on occasion. If you look along the wall, you can see my refutation of the statement that the tool tray becomes a haven for crap and shavings. Obviously, it cannot be so. Over here, and I wanted to save this, you see a pile of sawdust. That's the result of my hand resawing the Spanish cedar. When you say make shavings, not dust, that doesn't include even hand sawing. Over here, we have some other debris from one of my yesterday's projects. I figured, I don't think I'll clean it up yet, just so you guys can see that this is a typical workshop. You see the collection of planes sitting down. Oh, excuse me. It's not a collection. It is an assortment. And down below, a couple of other little handy containers, my chisels, and my block and specialty planes. We'll see more of those later. As some of you may remember, I've mentioned holdfasts a couple times in recent posts. I got these a while back. They're 5/8 inch shanks. Dog holes in this bench are 5/8 inch. But I knew that. I just wanted to have the extra sturdiness of these holdfasts. Brian Emery's standard holdfast. Very nice piece of gear. As I said, I couldn't use them in this bench, but I had a good idea yesterday, which I put in practice. I made a block. Simple little block, which I stuck here in the tail vise, and I was actually able to use it. 3/4 inch hole bored in the block. I've got a few problems in getting it mounted because of the tail vise wanting to rack with just one block in it. So I sat down and grabbed an old 2x4, decided I would make a prototype, proof of concept sample, if you will. And here it is. It's just a simple 2x4 cut out to fit over the screw and the rods in the tail vise. A couple holes drilled in it for the hold downs. All done with my Neander tools, just for practice. Anyway, this guy gets clamped in the vise. Grab your pad so you don't beat the crap out of the board you're using. And you just give it a couple of whacks. Now, reach down and grab the 112. And we're getting a few. Let me get a slightly poorer piece of wood. I think maybe we can get more scrapings off of it. Nice way to loosen it, isn't it? Normally I would hold this guy with my bench dogs, but I'm not going to clean off that much bench right now. Now you can see the scrapings. I'm not really scraping heavily. Let me show you another little thing that I had talked about in the past, which is getting your scraper blade set. Put that one aside. That's the Hawk. This is the IT. I happen to have a pretty good idea where it's going to go, but I'll show you the technique that I use. The real trick is to get the initial angle set properly. So what I do is I take the blade and I find out where it bites, which is where I pretty much want to be. I then more or less eyeball the angle of the blade holder to match. Hang the blade in, set it down on the bench. Blade's now flush with the bottom. There. Lock the blade in position. Well, there we are. And it works pretty well. The nice thing about it is that I can adjust the depth of cut very easily from this position. I don't have to travel very far to make initial contact. It does a pretty nice job. I thought I'd show some of the measuring tools, the usual and unusual. But these are the guys I probably use as much as anybody. Haven't put the combination squares out. I think everybody knows what they are. Over there at the end we have the Stanley 12-foot tape. Hardly an unusual tool, but one I use all the time. Down below it is the Bridge City Spider Divider, which is actually a pretty neat little tool. It allows you to measure inside dimensions very easily. It allows you to divide things into equal numbers of parts. For those who are anal about laying out their dovetails, that's very handy. It's very good for transferring measurements. I find it a very handy tool. In the back you see my two straight edges, my 24 plus inch rule, and just below it you see my Bridge City 24 inch straight edge. Both of these see an awful lot of use. Over here on the right you see the neat little square with bevels that I got from Eric Peters. That little guy just kept saying, take me, take me. So he really sort of followed me home. There's my Stanley 65 marking gauge. Nice thing about this guy is that I have sharpened that end to kind of a knife edge, and that one marks very nicely. The other nice thing about it is that you can replace the tip, or you can take it out and sharpen it. You can use different forms. Of course, the little 6-inch rule gets used all the time, as do the engineer squares. They're probably the handiest squares I've got around. Get a lot of use. This guy over here is a Bridge City center scribe. As usual, I mean, it's an overdone Bridge City tool. On the other hand, it has a super little tool for one thing. If you want to find the center of something, you just kind of clamp this thing on it, and there's that little scribe, and it will mark right down the center. And you can make it even follow a tapered piece. It's a nice tool, and I use it regularly, and I really like it. So those are my measuring tools. I've got a lot more, but these are the ones that probably see the most use. Here's another tool I almost forgot to show you. This is again a Bridge City tool. This is my newest Bridge City acquisition. It's a pizza wheel marking gauge. But the nice thing about it, and the thing that I like, is the fact that it's got a graduated stem. And this guy can truly be zeroed. You look on the end, you can see the pizza wheel, and you can see that there's a bevel machined in the face of the marking gauge. Now the pizza wheel retracts into that, and you have a true zero setting when you pull the pizza wheel in. And then on the back side, you can set these two, set the outer nut to give you the reading, and then lock it with the jam nut. And sure enough, you have a very accurate way of setting your marking gauge. Oh, yes, it comes at a high price, but I do enjoy these guys. Over here, I've deployed my sharpening system. There are several stones and some other gadgets that go along with it. I use water stones. I've tried different techniques, different methods, and I keep coming back to these. Over on the end is the coarse 80 grit green stone, the 800 grit, the 1200 grit, and the 6000 grit stone. There you see the strop with the little bar of rouge. Over there you see the diamond stone, if you will, the drywall abrasive for flattening the stones. There you see the bevel setting gauge, a lot more sturdy than the usual ones, and you see the two honing guides, the Veritas and the that one I think is an Eclipse. I will, by preference, use the Veritas. The only problem, as people will point out, is you have to get the blade square, but that's not that hard to do. That's what those little engineer squares also do for me. So that's really my favorite honing guide when I can use it. Oh yes, there is the viewer over there in the back so that I can really examine an edge. I don't use that much, but it is nice every once in a while to check it out. Now, since I promised earlier that I would show you these things, I guess I have to. On the right, we have the Ernie Fish Memorial Home for Wayward Chisels, and on the left, we have the box containing block planes, specialty planes, cutters, miscellaneous gewgaws. All old chisels. All do a pretty good job, eh? They do take a lot of work to get an edge on them, though. The boxes are the result of my drawer making practice. Swimbo had asked for some kitchen drawers, and I needed to learn how to make them. One of them was a true practice drawer. The other one is the result of a gross mismeasurement. I won't throw away a perfectly good drawer even if it doesn't fit, so it became the home for chisels. Here's a couple of items of exotica for those of you who may not had a chance to see them. The first item is AMT's version of the Stanley number 95. It's not the same caliber as the Lee Nielsen tools or the Stanley tools, but with honing the blade and a little bit of tuning, this guy actually works pretty well. Here you can see the back side of the tool and the not real sensitive adjusting mechanism, but this guy actually does good work for me. Above that is the Lee Nielsen number 9, a recently acquired tool. This guy has done not a lot of work for me yet, but the work it's done has been extremely nice. See the underside? The toe of the plane is movable, so the mouth can be adjusted quite finely. That's a nice tool. I have to build a shooting board for it, but that goes on my schedule, I guess. And over there is the Lee Nielsen 140 miter plane, or skew block, I should say. Also, very nice little plane. And there you can see the skew blade. There's the fence for it. Nice tool, nice tool. And here are the last two items for your view. On the left is a simple egg beater drill, but I have a deep and abiding attachment to that drill, since that's the first tool my father bought when he came to this country, and has been in the family's possession for probably about 74 years. It is a genuine old tool to me. Pretty simple, but I like it. Over to the right is another interesting item, family heirloom, if you will. It's wrought iron. That rose is made of individual petals. The leaves at the base are individual leaves. That was done by my grandfather. I guess that was his artistic outlet from his steady work as a tool-making blacksmith. We lost a much larger vase or pot stand made pretty much the same way, but with so many roses on it, so many leaves. And finally, here is the humidor that I've been working on. Much too much of a normie project, but it has been fun. Some of the real dog work I let the owner-to-be of the humidor do, such as mortising out for the hinges. But, as I say, it's been fun, learned quite a bit, and we plan to go on to bigger and better humidors from there. Well, that's it. This is the workshop. This is where I do what I do. Maybe not well, but I certainly have fun at it. I'm glad you could join me here. Glad we could spend a little time together. Maybe someday we'll do this again. This is Ernie saying thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you soon. and I can show you all that nice white hair. Bye.
Well, I would say who you were, John. Here.
I'm John. This is my shop. This is my bench.
John J. Parkhill, God knows what.
That's right.
Stop.
James Hunt.
Patty, you can cut out the first part there. Okay, John,
John
you're
shop, take two.
Well, you want to say who you are here, John?
I'm John Hofstad Parkhill. This is my shop.
And this is his way cool bench here. So this is, now what are we all looking at here, John? For wood here, we got all kinds of exotic.
Yep, we've got maple, paddock, holly, wenge, walnut, cherry feet.
Is that like cool or not here? Look at all of these tailed apprentices. Oh my goodness, we do have a couple of dusty number 5s.
Those are number 7.
Oh, number 7s. This is his newest acquisition. Although not, he is going to be converting this thing to a treadle, he assures me. Just because the guy can't have too many benches, here's another one of John's benches. A project in assembly here. John again. John's other bench. Wee little thing. And a toolbox that is missing pulls. So if anybody has any idea where he can get some nice, really fancy pulls, that would be helpful. More clamps. And by golly, look at all of that brass. Talk about YB planes here. By golly, there looks to be a transitional there, resold. And dun da da da, the IT number 198.
Me again.
Just in case you need a chop saw stand, you can always come and talk to John. I think it's a little overkill myself, but gotta do something with that woman. Okay, say hello.
Hello.
This is Caitlin
This is Caitlin.
and Bruce Van Sloan. He's going to demonstrate how to drill a hole using a brace. You ready? Okay. Here, doing that. Okay. Very good. Okay, what's your name? Go. Okay, tighten the clamp. Good. Okay. Very good. Okay. And sawing. Actually, Katie built all the holes for my workbench. All the holes for hanging the vices were drilled by her.
Good helper. As you can see, this is my bench. It's in process. There's Caitlin again. This bench is going to be about 30 inches tall and rest on these pine boards here. And this is, I'm having some good fun chopping mortises in here and building the legs and things like that. A couple of the tools that I'm using to do that. And off to on one of my tailed apprentice, you can see that I have a few of my wooden planes and a 45 that I got from Mr. Leach. It's ever so minty. Off in another part of my workbench, workshop, we have my area where I do my handcrafting on the sharpening saws, and my MIG welder here for repairing little things like infills that have had the little mouth worked on here. You can see that. Oh, there we go. That's been I've had to weld that up, but when my hawk blade comes in, it's going to be amazing. I turned a couple of chisel handles here lately. Oh, look at all those nice low knobs. There are two there that are high knobs, but those are little swimbows. Oh, we do have a mechanical means of turning using electronic kick power and a whole passel of saws. Seems like that's all we can find in our neck of the woods are saws. So I end up falling for them, saving them from ravages of getting painted. But most of these planes have been acquired from flea markets and from the net. So there's the rest of my shop, and this is all inside, and through that door is the outdoor shop where I do all of my automotive work. Well, this is the other side of the shop, and there's Katie's car, 1963 Triumph, my car, a 190 SL on the back. Oh, Bridget's car, which is a disaster right now. Talk about needing some restoration work. That's a 65 Triumph, my wife's car, one engine block. Just a few feet of flooring, maple flooring. That's what I'm making the top of my bench out of. Katie wanted to demonstrate her hand drilling technique with her own little drill here. You like that drill, Katie?
Yeah. Oh.
By the way, this is what I use for electrolysis. A bucket with a Hunko iron and the famous battery charger. Looks like Caitlin's still having fun here. Now we should go up and see a project that has actually been completed. Gusto's shown up. Hi, Gusto. Gusto is Katie's dog. Katie's still drilling now she's going the other way. Drilling her hole. By the way, if you look carefully, pre-lats, number 5 and number 7.
Gusto, what do you think you're sniffing about?
And she's drilling away. Ah! And she's almost through. Don't get your nose in there, Gusto. Okay, did you go look at your bed?
Maybe.
Well, here's Caitlin in her bed. Took the blankets off so you can see the wood. How that's shaped. You can see that I put pretty robust curves, we just put it that way on this thing. Made it out of a crate from a packing a crate from Ireland. A motorcycle was shipped over. And it seemed like it was pretty stout pine and pretty clear stuff, and I just hated to throw it in the fireplace, which is what the guy wanted to do with it. So instead we made Katie's bed out of it. So this was her big girl bed when she turned 3. Well, I think that's about it for now. Much of what I do is actually repair antiques. Here's a nice bed. This is our bed with bookend matched burl walnut and a satin wood dresser and satin wood armoire. And I did the upholstery, reupholstery on some antique chairs here. Oh, and there's the other one. And there's the matching satin wood washstand and commode. That's actually a better look at the settee, I guess. Well, that's all for now from the Van Sloan family, and keep sawing wood, keep things happy. What's on?
Bye.
Hi, I'm Robert Brazil. So I'm originally from Texas. I live in Arlington, Massachusetts now. My shop consists of a very small corner of my basement. So if you'll follow me, I'll show it to you. This is it. It's really only about a quarter of a very small basement. Half of the basement is dressed out, and it acts as an office for my wife and me. And the other half of it consists of storage for the whole family, plus what you see here, my shop. I don't really have a lot in the way of technique to demonstrate. I know that some people are talking about various kinds of joints. Other people are talking about things that they do to their tools. I am not nearly expert enough to really have much to offer this particular group. However, thanks to the limitations that I have on the space for my shop, I put a lot of thought into storage, and so I thought that perhaps I would show some of the things that I've done just to get my tools off of my bench. As you can see, if you look at my bench, I haven't quite succeeded. I still have a couple of old saws here that I need to reclaim, and a number of other things that I just simply haven't made shelves for or holders for, but I'm getting there. I'm quite close. So we'll just start over here and work our way around, and I'll show you what I've got. Here is my wood pile, such as it is. It consists of a few scraps, but mostly it's the stuff that I haven't touched yet and hope to do some stuff with. But a big chunk of this really rough stuff is curly maple that I got from Pete Tarrin, and in fact, the bulk of the curly maple I got from him I have stacked and stickered beneath the storage shelves over here on the left. These parts are my current project. The gaping joints, we'll give that away. It's a desk for my son. It'll be sort of mission style. I'm still milling things to size. You know, I'm not quite this bad, but I think it'll be pretty nice when it's done. It's all maple and cherry. Over here is a workbench that I built for him. You'll probably see more of my tools on it than his as of yet. I'm working on that. The tools on the shelf are his, and he's started to try them out. He's nearly 10 years old, and his interest waxes and wanes sort of with the weather and soccer and whatnot. But recently he's been showing considerably more interest, so I'm going to have to clear my junk off of it. All my scary sharp stuff is here. This shouldn't be too hard to recognize. A nice big can of spray adhesive and sandpaper, a saw set, and a bit of granite to put stuff on. I haven't got a surface plate yet. Here is the real sort of crux of how I managed to get things stored. I have cinder block walls, and it being rather hard to hang things on cinder block, I just nailed up, well, I didn't nail up, actually I lag screwed up some 2x4 studs with masonry screws, and then just screwed 1/2-inch plywood to it. I have 2 small vehicles, so I can't get full sheets of plywood in it. However, my local Home Depot is only too happy to sell me these little 2x4 sheets of it, and so I just brought home a stack of them and plastered the walls with them. As you can see, I have a bunch of cleaning and painting and finishing materials hanging up here. This point in the basement is as far as I can get from the furnace, and I'm still not completely comfortable with it because the furnace is right behind the camera. Here I have some saws. I carved little pine pieces to match the handles. I got that idea from something I saw in the workshop book, I believe. If you ever do this, use 2 screws, not 1. This is no good. I will be fixing that. I have obviously a set of shelves with my planes on them. Mostly I was trying different things to get them attached, different screws and bracing schemes. The best one so far that I've found consists of cutting 2 small square holes. There's one here and there's one here. It's a little hard to see. And then these triangular shaped brackets that have a little square extension on them that fit into the holes. So it acts as, it's not quite a cantilever, but it's really quite sturdy. I've used different kinds of wood for it. Pine turns out to be good enough for shelves, but maple is the best, for me at least, by far. It fits together much better, the edges don't wear down, and that works really nicely. And I tend to have a lot of scrap maple because I like to use it. And so the last couple of shelves I've done that way, and I've been very happy with it. For screwdrivers, some files, some chisels, I just screw up these blocks, long, thin blocks of wood, with holes drilled in them with my brace. That was really pretty easy. Not everything would fit in them, of course, but I get an awful lot in there, as you can see. Along this wall, this is the most recent wall, I've started fitting out things like auger bits and chisels. And of course, the tricky thing there is that some of them wouldn't, obviously, because of the width of the blade, wouldn't actually go down through a hole without really weakening the board. I could use a much thicker board, but what I chose to do is drill holes for the ones that would just stick in there. And for the ones that wouldn't, I drill a hole, and then I just cut out an opening, sort of an escapement almost, to fit the wider chisels. And that's worked out very nicely for me, and I think it looks pretty nice as well. I do something similar for auger bits, drill the hole, and then just cut to them. And they hook very nicely, and that's turned out to be very convenient. Hammers, pegs. Nothing really very surprising like that. I just take some dowels and cut them up, glue them in holes. It's held up very nicely. I don't think there's any more really unique here. Again, I've got a carved out piece for my Independence tool saw. I'm thrilled with the saw, not too surprisingly, everybody else is. I'm hoping to get a tenon saw when that finally comes, and this space right here is actually reserved for that. However, until it comes, I've got a spot for little notes to myself in my, in my handy little type study, which when I get some thumbtacks will go up right there. My bench is a $95 special from Home Depot. It's really crappy, as you can see. It moves quite easily. I have tightened it up a number of times. Hopefully I just plan to replace it very soon with a built one, hopefully Klaus style if it doesn't kill me, which it may. But in the meanwhile, this does well enough, and my daughter likes to come and help me work on it. She holds down the pieces while I work. Now she's only 2, so that help has its good side and its bad side, but I certainly enjoy having her with me. What she enjoys doing more than anything else, I'll show one last thing over here, is taking blocks of pine which I've drilled holes and driving shavings into them with nut drivers. She just thinks that's the best thing in the world. And so she can do that for a good half an hour at a time. And let me tell you, that's about the only way I get anything done in here. That's about it for my little tour, because there isn't much else to see. There's a bookshelf in the corner over here that has all my books and a few of the tools that I didn't have room for yet. My 45, some plows, some things like that. Soon I hope to take down a lot of this old junk and put up some more planking for more shelves and more tool hanging goodies, but I haven't gotten there yet. I hope that the lack of technique display has not removed all interest from this segment of the tape, and if any of you are ever in Arlington, I certainly hope to be able to show you in person. Thanks.
Jersey Boys video. The guy behind the camera is Carl Mulhausen. You'll be meeting him after a while. This is my shop, my tray. This is my tray that we cut down across the street over there and dragged over here in our version of a suburban tractor pull. So you can get a shot of this tray. It's 46 inches across the base. We counted the rings. It's 205 years old, which comes to about 1791. So it should be pretty impressive. We have to quarter this with a chainsaw mill before we can get it on the wood miser, which Carl was just sitting on and is behind you. And then we're going to quarter saw it, and hopefully should be able to get it's 46 inches, figure 22 inches of usable width. So you get about a 44-inch wide table with book-matched quarter sawn boards out of it. So pretty exciting. We'll see how it goes. Okay, the wood miser's behind you. Carl's going to get a shot of that now. And that's my baby. I use that on the weekends and stuff, cutting wood for people. In a few minutes we'll get some live footage of a log actually being cut. The log we're going to cut today is black oak, and that's going to be cut up into stickers for use on drying the larger slabs of the logs you just saw. I just coated it with a water-based wax emulsion, which is this stuff. That dries, seals the ends of the log and prevents it from drying out too fast. Okay, that's my dog. You'll hear a lot of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Shut it.
This is Carl Mulhausen. I thought the Galoot world at large should get a shot of this fine brush technique of this man. Say hi, Carl.
Come here to take pictures. He puts me to work, subjects me to all sorts of noise, all sorts of stuff. I don't know. He's what a pal.
Yeah, see? This is the wax emulsion. It's very important to put this on the fresh end cut of a log to prevent it from checking. And check out that fine brush technique. You should see this man do French polish.
I always sign my work, too. There we go.
All right. No! It's a short log. Won't go on the handle. Somebody let the dog out so we won't get this barking.
Bill's dog, for anybody that cares. Manhandling, very manly fashion. True Galoot fashion.
That was a little heavier than I thought.
See, a real Galoot lifts the logs by themselves.
Oh, goodness. Good thing I don't do the wash, huh?
Why don't you tell the people what you're doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
4-quarter, 5-quarter, 6-quarter, or 8-quarter boards. I was adjusting the scale, so I'm going to cut these for stickers, so they're going to be exactly 1 inch by 1 inch. So I'm going to cut them this way, and then flip all the boards, and then cut them this way, and end up with a whole bunch of long 1 inch by 1 inch boards. Square stick, then throw away the ones that I don't like, and then you keep what's left, so that when we cut that, and we stack it up and sticker it, it will air will be able to pass through and be able to dry.
Okay.
Just a minute. Okay, this is the inside of my shop. You'll see Carl's shop after a while. About 21 by 21, pretty much full. I don't think there's much else I can get in here. This is the workbench I built when I first got here. Based on the Landis Fortune design. The one thing I did do is it's a left-handed bench, since I'm left-handed, and I typically climb this way.
Hang on.
And, okay. So, as I was saying before Carl experienced technical problems, this is based on the Landis Fortune design. It's a left-handed workbench though, because I plane left-handed. And you're not supposed to plane against the tail stop here. This is the tail vise, the traditional tail vise like Landis had in his book, the workbench book. The project underway at the moment is this. Here are the plans. This is a library in a private home. We have shelving, lateral files. This wraps around a corner, so it's actually like this. So there's a corner here. The room's 9 by 11. It's a corner cabinet, more shelves, under cabinet space. This is a multiple drawer, open with an art area up above across the whole thing. Corner to corner desk. This is the desktop. It's a standard face frame plywood box design, based on building traditional cabinets by Tolkien. So we're using him as our example. And so these face frames you see scattered around the shop are for that purpose. It is a rather large, yeah, I mean the room looks small, but when you start putting face frames together, it all of a sudden looks big. So this is the shop. Just got the dust collection system put in. Not very Galoot-like, but what the hell, right? So, there it is.
And what do you call this thing for the people that don't know what they are?
This is a 1.5-horse contractor saw with the Bismarck gun. Very nice.
Where's the treadle for powering it? The treadle for powering it?
Yeah, there's a treadle under here.
You see that? Yeah, you step on that.
And
okay.
Yeah, GoPro powered, that's it.
Okay.
GoPro powered, yeah. This is a lathe that I built myself. I took a metal working class and turned the spindle on a metal lathe and then put the whole thing together. I was getting big log chunks that I wanted to make bowls out of. And I turned things like this platter. This is a good example of the size of this stuff. This is curly willow oak, and you can see the spalting that's in there. This is destined to become a clock someday.
Wow.
We'll drill a hole and put wooden hands on here for a clock face.
That's really gorgeous.
So you can see the curl and the spalting. Pretty cool. So that's my shop. There's the lathe. You can see I'm not big on neatness. Carl and I had a hard time finding a time when his shop was clean and my shop was clean, so I decided to take the hit, and my shop isn't clean. So yours is clean, of course, Carl, right?
Spotless. We'll be eating off the floor.
Yeah. So since I do a lot of turning, I have a lot of this stuff, it just comes off the lathe. So I literally have to snow shovel it out of here.
Yes.
That's that.
All right.
Okay, next time you see us, we'll be at Carl's shop.
Okay. First, you might want to tell them what this black beast hiding behind
that's nothing. Front port, or strung up on a gallows right in front.
Platoon duty for a year.
Some of you with longer memories may recall that I once told Carl that he should get a drum sander for the boxes that he was making. He was using these curly grain things, and he was scraping and planing. I mean, even Krenov says use sandpaper once in a while, but no, the guy's into torture. This is a combination planer, drum sander, molding maker, and gang whip. And inside here is a drum sanding head. There's also a planer head, and you can put on molding heads like this. I actually bought this to use for the library job because the library job is all cherry face frame. all cherry crown, chair rail, wainscoting. This woman basically wants a room that looks like the inside of a cherry tree. Rather than buying all this cherry molding and not having it match and stuff, I decided to buy the machine. Made in the USA, I should emphasize. None of this, Taiwanese crap. I'm proud to say the only piece of Taiwanese crap I have in here is probably this, and that's still a Delta.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, the only reason you bought this instead of a lot of wooden molding planes was that Patrick was out of.
Yeah, well, this one's the molding, and the drum sander saves an incredible amount of time. You can just feed face frames through it, and it takes it just sands it right down, gets all those planer marks out. I think of myself as improving on Frank Klaus's technique of planing and then going to, what was it, 220 grit sandpaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just put 220 on here and just barrel it through. You can see it's powered by 5 little gophers under here. So, I'm just taking away that extra step. The customer is not willing to pay for mortise and tenon construction, so naturally we're using pocket holes with the Craig jig, and actually it's working out very well. The one thing is you have to use this to keep the face of the face frames flush, because there may be some thickness, but it's really working out well. You can see this. I turned these around so you wouldn't naturally see them the first thing, but you can see from the back how the pocket screws hold it all together. We have screws here and here and here holding it together. This is going to be behind the crown molding, so you won't see it. So, but this is an example of where non-flushness and the pocket screws account for that, because you clamp it flush on the face and then screw it in. So a little bit of thickness doesn't matter. But the Craig jig really works well. I was impressed. And the guy at the show, he's whiz cabinet, and you go, well, maybe there's more to it, but it's true. It's pretty easy. Putting cabinets together is a snap. You can also use that, and that's what Tolkien recommends for attaching this to the plywood box. So you have the plywood box coming off the back of here, and you put a pocket screw through the back into the face frame, and that attaches it to the plywood. We'll see how that goes. So, okay.
All right.
Guess that's all from me.
Okay.
And now we'll go down to Mr. Malthausen's shop and get to see what he has to say.
First, we're going to load up a pile of that beautiful wood you offered to give me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Over now.
Some of the stuff that I made, and then we'll go down and we'll do the shop business. These are on my website. I don't know how many people have been on the website or not. This is a cherry knitting chest that I completed a while ago. Dovetails on the side. From anybody that reads my postings, they know that I like to do dovetails.
Turn it slightly so that you can get a better angle.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, beautiful. Very nice.
This is from a piece of cherry I got in Monmouth County here. This was extra thick cherry. So I used the advantage of having a thick cherry by curving the sides on it like that. I was getting a little tired of straight boxes. I typically do a tray of some kind on the inside on it. This is part of the cherry too, and I usually use dovetails on the tray.
Yeah, this was of course done with the IT saw.
With the IT saw, no doubt about it. Next piece.
Very nice.
Okay, this is quilted bubinga. This is on the website too. This was a wild wood. It's crazy wood. It's very hard to work with. Again, I used the curved sides. This was actually the original curved sides. I made the box, and the wood was too heavy, and it looked very clunky. So then I, took the old rasp to it and started curving the sides, and it gives it a little bit more delicate look. Started doing some carving on the top. I'm not much of a carver though. What else do we have here? I once posted about a cat clock.
Very nice.
Yeah, and the details are the top is hand carved.
This way.
Hand carved, walnut. mortise and tenon into the thing.
Very nice.
Cat clock. This is number 2. The other one's in the living room. Made the first one for my wife and I posted about it. But I wanted to do something different. Had some nice thick walnut, about 2 inches thick. The tail is a separate piece glued on. This is nice because I roughed the shape out on the bandsaw and then it's all handwork, including the part that always gets to me is I love when I'm carving the face. And this is not a detailed carving, but to me it kind of fits the piece in that it's the more detail. After trying to put too much detail in it to make it look like really like a cat, eventually you lose something. So this is sort of a cross between a cat and a clock. This is a lot of fun to make. I like making these. Once talked about, I call this black poplar. It's just regular old poplar that gets this black grain in it from the, according to the lumber mill, the minerals in the soil get soaked up and it turns it black. But my daughter and I were out shopping for wood and we saw this piece and just went nuts. In addition to doing dovetails, this is I do with power tools. I like to do these splined corners with inserts like this, mitered splines I call them. These are birch in this case. Let's see. This piece has got a very thin little tray in it. The only other thing about this piece was that I used a lacquer finish. Most of the time I used shellac because I wanted this dark color. I didn't want the lighter color to turn yellow in any way, as it would with an oil or a shellac. So I used a brushed on lacquer and then rubbed it down by hand. It's pretty much fun to do. Then we can move to the Krenoff corner over here. This is a Krenoff knockoff piece I made. It's bird's eye maple for the frame, pretty much. You can't see it too well, but it's curly maple on the sides. The panel here, this is a wood called catawba. It's a local wood. I don't even know what the tree looks like. Got it from my friend down in Howell. These are book matched pieces. Made little drawers in it, again from catawba. The same piece of wood, so the grain follows right there. Instead of using plywood for the back, I put more catawba in the back. It's a frame and panel fit in the back. Shelves are fixed in there. These Krenoff style little catches use a spring from a pen. He has it in one of his books for closing the drawer. Got to fix that. And then the handles are carved rosewood. When I first made the piece, we were talking on the old tools list a while about perfection and stuff. I made the piece, brought it up, which is kind of a ceremony when it makes it up from the basement into this room. And my wife took one look at it and she said, gee, the doors aren't level. The handles weren't even. One handle was sticking up above the other. So I said, it's good enough. I left it go for a while. Eventually it got to me, so I took the doors off and I went downstairs and I recarved the handles a little bit, already in place on the door to get them even. So now it looks a lot better and I can sleep at night. Okay, that's it for the display room. I got a box of stuff here that I'm waiting to sell, but I won't bother going into the details of it. So next evening it'll be down in the basement. I'm into my laboratory, whatever. This is Bill's first time here too, so this is a first for him. Welcome to the shop. I have a basement shop. I like it because in the summer I get air conditioning, in the winter I get heat. It's kind of open-ended if you look at the mess in the rest of the basement. I've been gradually expanding as time goes out. You can ignore this thing. Consider this an assembly table. This is another statue.
There must be a hell of a treadle on that one, Carl.
You bet. That takes, it's a 4 gopher power saw. Let's see. I started out doing mostly power tools and then moved into hand tools the way most of us do, but I do like the table saw. This is my assembly table come outfeed table.
Yeah, nice having this big outfeed table.
Yes, it's very, very convenient.
You know, I didn't really have the space for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. We can go to the main display of any workshop should be the workbench. I didn't make this myself, bought it from a friend. It's a solid maple top, standard Weiss hardware. This is the double dog Weiss on the side. I never ever use the back row dogs. And if I had it to do again, I'd probably make a Weiss, maybe that just use the one row of dogs. But it works really nicely. I love it for planing. Face Weiss is very convenient. I have to do some work on it. It racks a little bit more than it should. The top is laminated maple. It was made by taking the flat sawn boards, cutting them into strips, reversing them, gluing them up to give you a roughly quarter sawn top. It's really nice. One thing about when I fixed the vices on this, I came to feel like the benches are really a hard woodworking job, and I was very glad to have one without having to spend all the time making it. You really need to be very precise in your woodworking to do the vices and stuff. So I'm happy to have it. I love it. I'm also glad that I didn't have to make it. Let me talk a little bit about some stuff that I've been making lately. As you saw upstairs, I make a lot of small stuff. These are a couple of boxes I'm making. They're one of my latest design kind of ideas, which again is the curved sides on the top, and I put curves on the front. And these handles on it are, again, I really like doing this part of it, is the hand touches. I use the power tools to prepare the wood, though I don't have a joiner, so I do the face joining on the side, on the first face by hand, using my hand planes. Maybe I'll show them in a while. I have a power planer on the floor. And once I get one side flat, I run it through the power planer. Typically use the hand planes to final surface the wood. In this case, because it's so curved, the final surface was after I got done curving it, and then I used to sand. I had to sand these. I do. I haven't patched the hinges yet. I do. Let's see. Love to do hand cut dovetails. Write a lot about that on the old tools list. Use my. Have to show this for Patrick. IT saw number 32. Okay, this is the baby. My Dozukis and stuff are largely unused ever since I got that baby. Typically, I do the hand-cut dovetails. I use a router. I don't have a lot of old planes to put the grooves in, and I use a solid bottom on the bottom for the bottom. I don't use plywood much anymore. The style. One of my things is that the bottom of the box doesn't have to be finished exactly, so I do like a rough framing panel with hand planes fitted into the groove like that, glue it up. Curves like this, I generally rough out the curves on the bandsaw. Curves are done before I assemble the box. Curves like this are done after I assemble the box. I use a combination of spoke shaves and a lot of hand tools. I got some really nice old rasps from my father. These are handmade rasps where they actually pick the steel out by hand according to him. He also gave me a bunch of carving tools that he made. He was a machinist by trade, is a machinist by trade. So this is from an old file and stuff. So he gave me a fair number of tools. Very grateful for that. He also gave me the Unisaw. Grateful for that too. Let's see. So the work, most of the work takes place on the workbench. After I go back to the box, and after I get done roughing this out, I found this wood. This is some wood called leopard wood, which I've not been able to find the scientific name for, but this is the quarter sawn figure. Why don't you pause it a second? I want to show something. You can start it now. All right. I wanted to show the figure in this wood because it's really stunning wood. It looks a little bit like lace wood, but it's very, very heavy. This is the quarter saw figure. Is that coming out, you think?
Yeah.
These are the, what do you call it?
Tilt it up now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Medullary rays.
Yeah,
So
you
they
can
come
always see
through.
those rays.
Sometimes you catch them just so they're almost parallel to the surface of the stuff. Of the wood. Anyway, my comment is that planing this stuff, the lighter sections are softer, so the plane tends to rip it all out as you go through. And I've tried a lot of planes. And with the curved things, you can't. I can't use a hand plane with the curve. So these are done with a spoke shave to get the rough curves out, and then I sand it with my hidden random orbital sander. So I use a combination of hand tools and power tools most of the time. Here's the spots on the other side that give it. I guess the name leopard wood might come from the spots. But it's not, there's another kind of leopard wood, also known as snake wood, and this is not the stuff. When I make a tray, this is not glued up. Trays are made sort of like a miniature box. Do the hand-cut dovetails on it. The bottom fits into a groove that's routed around the bottom of the tray. I fit the tray bottom to the groove exactly, again using a hand plane to give you like a rough frame and panel. I don't believe in overdoing details like the bottom of the tray, but put that in like that. I have to glue this up next step. So this is the latest inspiration. I really enjoy doing these boxes, and I like doing this. I mentioned that I gave a demonstration at a woodworking at an arts festival the other day. This is the thing that I used some hard maple, and I did my Frank Klaus impression of hand-cut dovetails. But I cheated in that I did 3 sets to begin with, and I did the last one at the show, at the demonstration. This is the last one. It actually turned out pretty good. So it was fun to do that. Tools. Let me talk a little bit about the tools I use. I'm not a tool collector or a tool user. I got into hand tools on old rec dot woodworking, seeing it an alternative from just using power tools. As I went on woodworking, doing more and more stuff, I found that I enjoyed doing detail work. I love to use chisels, and the dovetail certainly was kind of an epiphany, as we say. Read about people using hand planes and all, so but I still was reluctant to buy old ones. My first hand plane was the one I wrote a little while ago. This is my AMT Beauty, my $40 Beauty, bronze, even has my initials in the side. This is a really crummy plane. Plastic handles, plastic knob, very rough machining. I use it for somewhere between a jack plane and a scrub plane. I keep the mouth wide open, put something of a radius on the blade, and when I'm using rough sawn wood, I use this to take the saw marks off. So it serves its function. That's about it. After that, I decided I needed a good hand plane. Again, still reluctant to buy used. So this is a modern Stanley No. 3 plastic handles from Garrett Wade. It's covered with dust because I don't use it. Again, it's a pretty crummy plane. It's not milled, machined very accurately. I use it for rough jobs. I hate to sharpen. I hate to stop a job to sharpen. So I have a couple backup planes. If they're sharp, I use them. If not, I have to stop and sharpen. So this one I use for that. The real revelation was when I finally placed an order with Patrick. I decided I needed a jointer plane, and he sent me this beauty. This is a late type 11, I guess you would call it. It's got the high knob, it should have the low knob, but everything else is consistent with 3 patent date type 11 rosewood handles. I suppose the knob could be a replacement. I don't know. It's a wonderful plane. There's a laminated blade in it, which was something of a puzzle when I first got it. But when I got this, I was really hooked. This was a real joy to hold. It gave me a real sense of what it's like to hold a tool with some history. I wondered about who had used it before me. It set me on my way to the depths of Galoot-ness, I guess. Picked up a few more from Patrick. I love this number 5. This is a World War II vintage plane with a painted hardwood knob and tote. Still has the brass adjustment wheel on it, so it's kind of nice. Use this one a lot. He sent me this about 1890 number 3, type 6, I believe it is. It has the reverse, I think it's the right-handed threaded adjustment knob. Beautiful rosewood tote handle on it. It's a lovely old plane. I seem to have a thing for number 3s. I picked up a Dave Wolverton, another guy on the list, knew I was looking for bedrocks. I didn't have any bedrocks, so he saw this bedrock for $65. I got it for $55. It had a cracked knob on it, which is the original's up there. I've replaced the knob because I'm a user, not a collector. This is a lovely old plane. I don't know, collector value might not be too much with the replacement knob, but I've seen these things going for well over $100 lately. I don't have a big thing about tools have to be old. I've blabbed about my Lee Nielsen number 4. This is my plane of last resort for smoothing. I wrote about the plane off. Bill participated in it. We tested this against the Norris and some other planes. The Stanley the Lee Nielsen number 62. It holds its own. I really love this plane. It's got extra weight because of the bronze. It's a very heavy casting. And I use this for my final smoothing. As you can see from upstairs and all, I like figured woods. This kind of wacky wood. I buy this wood, this Bubinga, this other stuff. I buy the wood, get it in here, and then I wonder how I'm going to use it. So my questions usually are always how do I deal with woods with hand tools as best I can. Sometimes use the scraper, number 12 scraper I got from Patrick. Pete Tarrant just gave me some good advice on how to. I was having trouble using it. He gave me some good advice on how to use the blade, how to adjust the blade better. I was having some trouble on it. What else we got down here? Oh, this one. This one. I asked Patrick. I was feeling impure for using my router. So how do you cut rabbits without a router? This is a moving Philister plane from about 1850, the Aramark, whatever. Aromancy or something, Aromammoth. You guys on the list will know this one. Moving Philister. It's a lovely old plane. I got to confess that I don't use it that much. I find it difficult to adjust the wooden plane. I never quite got the hang of it. I've successfully used done rabbits with it, but for cutting these, this one doesn't have it. Cutting these delicate little grooves in it, stop grooves and stuff. I don't have a hand plane that will do that, so I use the router. So I'm keeping this one now for sort of collector item. I don't even want to use it. I get nervous about just tapping the wedge in. So this will probably get edited down. This is basically the shop for New Jersey Galoot number 2, and I hope everybody enjoys what they've seen.
I'm Tom Holloway, also known as THH1 at cornell.edu. I'm going to take a quick tour today of my tiny little shop. Shouldn't take long. I'm going to take a look at my Scary Sharp system, some of my other doodads, saws and bits, and a look at my workbench too. First we'll check out the Scary Sharp on a granite plate I got at a kitchen counter place here in town, the Tile House. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick and about 2 feet long, 14 inches wide or so. I have the various grits of sandpaper from 80 running down through. I have 9 grits. That's probably more than I need for this full system, but I thought I'd show how it worked. I have a Buck Brothers chisel here that I got last week at a house sale for $1. It's had sharpening done in the past, but it's got a bevel that's way too shallow, so the edge would be weak. Got it set up in a jig here to give me a 25-degree angle, and then I run down through the various grits, moving around to the other side, and work on through down to 2000 grit here, which is for final honing. I also have a strip here of 1500 grit that I use in the final stages to work off the wire edge on the back, which has been polished up to that time. I have here another Buck Brothers chisel from the same set. It's a 1-incher. This is a 3/4 here. And I did this Scary Sharp already, and you can see you could count your nose hairs if we were closer. Can't quite do that. Got the back polished, and that's been already finished. I have a Sweetheart era plane iron, Stanley plane iron, that I've got set up in a jig for that. It's a little bigger. In order to get the bevel right, I started out with a wooden wedge like this, making a template so that I can get that angle. When I work up to the final micro bevel, I can tighten it up to a 30 degree. And we just work through the grits. Not quite that fast, but pretty quick. And get your Scary Sharp. I also made out of a piece of scrap this handmade rasp, on which I've put some of the adhesive back paper that comes in rolls like this. I have 150 on one side and 320 on the other. And I use this with the draw knives in a vise, like this James Swan model here, to do the final honing on that, or the clean cutter 9-incher that I've Scary Sharp also. Very sharp. So sharp it's scary. Okay, here we have a few doodads in between. This is probably the best of several braces I've accumulated. But one thing I think is a little special is this box right here that I got a few years ago before Galoot-a-vision entered in. And what we have here is a case for a full Russell Jennings collection. Thank you, Paul Honor, for the number 13. I now have everything from a 4 to a 16 running through double twist Russell Jennings bits. Very nice box. Only one I've seen like this. On the saws, which I've been getting into a little bit, I have a few items for working them. Something I picked up fairly recently, the first one I got. This is a saw jointer with the file installed in a case and a right angle for jointing the top of the teeth of the saw. And then the saw set, the heaviest model right here, that works the set on the teeth when we get through. A couple of saws that I picked up. This one in particular is of interest to those few Galoots who might be collectors. This is a Henry Diston and Son, no S, model number 7, cast steel, wanted, patent ground, and so forth. Notice the old handle and the large nut on it. Also, Atkins, little crosscut that was probably a shipwright saw because of the size and the skew back. It's apparently been sharpened so many times or had sets of teeth cut into it that it is much narrower than it was when it was new, but it has a very nice large Atkins nut on it and the floral design. Another old item that is probably a little rarer because it was a local manufacturer. This is a saw made by J. Flint in Rochester, It has cast steel wanted under the very small stamped logo. 2 nice engraved nuts, wanted extra, and then J. Flint superior, and a nicely shaped handle on it. This is a 9-point crosscut with a nib also. Picked up this little Jackson wanted cast steel dovetail saw that Pete Tarrant tells me is made by Diston. Has the Diston keystone in the nut as well. Another item is this miter box with a miter saw that didn't come with the box, but a striped 2-tone maple and mahogany box and angle settings by which it can be set for various angles, 45 to 0 with the angles in between. So now what we have here is a homemade saw bench. I'm not going to actually saw any wood here, but I'll show you the clamping system. Got a handle in here for carrying it, and the wedge is about the right height, about 18-19 inches high, for doing that ripping or whatever you need in the clamp space. We have here an L. Bailey Boston spoke shave, the iron at least. It's been scary sharp. It's very good. It was probably made around the Civil War era. It's stamped in very small letters, L. Bailey Boston. This is a marking gauge, shop made, that I made myself with a brass insert, chopping through the hole, making the rod, and putting an old extender rule from a folding rule as a wear marker and rough measuring gauge. I also have here the infamous Stanley number 82 box scraper with an original blade. This is the one that looks to the untrained eye like a paint scraper, and in fact this one had been used as a paint scraper, and it's a very fine tool once you tune it up a little bit. I have here some metal planes, transitionals, clean cutter 6 and 7. I live 25 miles south of Auburn, New York, where many of the 19th century wooden planes were made, and these are 2 Auburn planes and another no-name plane with a white and French iron in it, these wooden planes. Moving on down onto the bench, we've got Yankee screwdriver and drill, and 71.5 router plane, and then the usual collection of metal bench planes from a 40 scrub, 10.5 here with the rabbit sides all the way through. A little no-name smoother that's the size of a number 3, but it has a tapered iron and no sign of any maker's mark on it. This is the Starrett blade that Andrew Rappaport and Patty O'Gean will recognize from the auction in Pompey. It's doing its service as it should. Next we have a Stanley Bedrock 605, early model. This is a round-sided, before 1910, Stanley 605. Has a high knob on it that kind of faked me out. And then the 5.5 on the number 6, and the Stanley smoother on the end. The number 7 Stanley Battleship is here someplace, but no age yet. Hello again. As you can see, Galoots really do plain wood. I've got this dogged up in the invice of my bench I made a couple of years ago. Dogged in. This is made out of scrap maple from the Cornell dumpster. Down below it, I have a tool chest with 4 drawers. The drawers came out of the archaeology labs when they were remodeled at Cornell, and I built the carcass and made this to fit inside the bench to add ballast and provide storage for the tools. This little device is a scraper burnisher that provides the appropriate angle for polishing off the end, drawing the burr, and turning the hook. And that's what I use to tune up this scraper. Here's some pieces of cherry that I got at a farm sale a few years ago in various states of preparation. This is the raw, rough-cut cherry. You can hardly tell what it is. Here's a piece that has some planing on it. You can see here's still some of the saw teeth on that. And then there's a piece that I made for Swimbo, who was behind the camera this morning, a jewelry box for Christmas time out of that piece of cherry. So we go from this to this through completely hand tool methods. This is a box that I made out of pine that used to be the siding on this house. This is an old 1853 farmhouse. This was pine clapboard, and this was actually my first effort at dovetails. Not very pretty, but still good practice. And those of you who look at the shape will recognize a box for a computer desk. Finally, I have here, out of the same cherry, a lap desk. It was made about a year ago now, and it's darkened much more than the jewelry box. It provides a little shelf here, something you can sit in your easy chair and read or grade papers or hold your laptop computer on it with a little handle. This is all hand jointed, 3 pieces that were taken out of the same piece with cathedraling here that shows up real nice. Down in the face vise of the bench, which I probably made a little too wide, there's no real reason to have this width out here. Let's put in a little scrap from something that went wrong with another project. This, of course, is what we use. It's a quick relief vise like the one on the end, AMT knockoff of the record design that I use for edge planing here. Over on the edge of the bench, I've added a little extra Phillip here. This is a board that has a slot on the end that makes it possible to move it up, tighten these wing nuts, and have something to push against on the end of the bench. And we've got this extra piece of maple that fits in here. Put this in, and I've got 2 register surfaces here besides the dogs. This is the first bench dog I made out of a piece of 1-inch dowel, tapering it down here to fit in my 3/4-inch dog holes. This is my favorite mallet, also made out of the same maple that the bench is made out of. 4 pieces, 5 pieces actually, laminated together with the handle carved integrally out of the middle piece. Provides nice heft, 4 surfaces, and I like it just fine. I have a carpenter's tool chest, heavy model, nothing too fancy on the design. Got tills on the top for saws and small tools and several trays. Made heavy to take to a job site. And that concludes our tour of Tom Holloway's Galoot Empire. I look forward to seeing everybody else's contribution to this and circulating, and be in touch.
Hello, I'm Bruce Willman. We live in Austin, Texas, and I'm making a video for the Galoot composite video thing. And these are my daughters, Kate, Audrey. They like to do a little woodworking now and then. And I just wanted to show my bench, which I just recently finished about a week ago. It's loosely based on the Michael Fortune design with a modified Klaus tail vise, which is pretty much my own design. It seems to work for now. We'll see how it holds up in the long term. And I wanted to show some of my favorite tools. This is my first old tool acquisition. This is a number 8, which is an extremely manly plane. I got this from Patrick Leach several years ago. It works very well. It remains one of my favorites. This is my favorite old saw. I got this from Pete Tarrin very recently. It works very, very well. Just cut things up just for the heck of it. And this is a wooden screw arm plow, which I got from Patrick. I thought I would demonstrate using this. I know a lot of people have never seen one of these in action. I've never seen one in action, so I'm not sure if this is the correct way to use it or not. This is the plow iron that goes in there. It's made by probably Providence Tool Company, which Patrick has been writing about. It says Greenfield Tool Company on it. Now I will show how this works. I'm going to use a hold fast to hold this. I got this from Brian Embry. I really like it. Okay. Holds it very securely. Okay, scoot back. That's all there is to plowing a groove. See how easily that came undone. Now I thought I'd show you what a nice job that does. Makes a very sharp groove. Usually they come out better, but I'm kind of nervous being on live TV. We've had a good time making this video, and I look forward to seeing the other guys making theirs. So goodbye from Austin.